It's wonderful to see how it's been developed and increasingly used by people of Hingham and other communities in the area over the years.
Christine and I have been here in Hingham since 1981, and access to this part of the world, this reservation, has been a wonderful opportunity for Chris, for me, for our children, for recreation. You know, it's a place to enjoy the beauty of nature.
It's such a diverse space, so it's not only just about hiking, it's also about the historic uses of the land and connecting back to our past.
A very special place is Rocky Neck. Nobody will ever know you're there, and you can just wander around. In the main property, I enjoy wherever my mood takes me at the moment. I may come out and decide I'm going to do the loop.
So what we have tonight is a fundraiser dinner. It's a real World's End experience. People have really come out to show their support for this property and the ongoing care of the property.
I think they're doing a great job in using locally sourced products. The music is beautiful. The fact that we can be under the sky and not under a tent is wonderful. So they even got nature to cooperate.
It's really an all-hands-on-deck effort as far as the trustees organization is concerned. When you get into the planning of an event like this, that's the development team, from hiring the band to making sure that the food was absolutely perfect and setting up the entire atmosphere for the night. We acquired the property back in 1967, and here we are in 2017, and we're celebrating the fact that this place has been preserved for 50 years. And the history of this place really goes back 10,000 years, right? It's a glacial drumlin that got deposited here, and over time vegetation grew in. A little bit of Native American influence, but it really, you know, took on the characteristics that we experience today through the colonial era.
It's still World's End. It's agricultural fields, carriage roads.
The gentleman who had the biggest influence on the property was John Brewer, a wealthy Boston businessman. He purchased all the acreage of World's End, as well as ultimately about 400 acres or so, developing his farming estate. He hired Frederick Law Olmsted, America's first and most famous landscape architect, who put his stamp on the property, designing the carriage roads and the incredible trees we have here.
My predecessor as town moderator, Tom O'Donnell, who was essential to preserving this special place that we call World's End. It was through the foresight of a group of volunteers, Hingham people, and ultimately, of course, the trustees of reservations, that the beauty was preserved.
I was involved in the campaign to raise money to make it possible for the trustees to acquire the property 50 years ago. And we had to raise a lot of money in about 2 months, and we did so, and it made one of the reasons it was possible for the trustees to get the property and preserve it.
I think the essence is to keep it looking like a gentleman farm as it was in the late 19th century.
The landscape we see today is mostly the influence of colonial-era farmers, John Brewer's land acquisition campaign, and then his involvement in getting Frederick Law Olmsted to the property to design it.
In the last couple of years, the number of people coming here has increased so much. People coming out, having a great experience, and then getting on their devices and telling other people, you gotta come here.
This past year, we did 2 separate campouts where families came and set up a tent for one night. Kids had a chance to experience the property. And then accompanying those with our normal guided walk series, giving people who really want more in-depth knowledge of the property an opportunity to learn it right here at the reservation.
I think that the way the trustees have stewarded it have really been a real draw. You know, very careful to cultivate all of the nature, all of the paths, and make sure that the stewardship is top-notch. But then they also do things like art exhibits.
This past year in particular was exciting because we did have the introduction of a new art installation. So Yet Behind's A New End appeared here just about a year ago. There's volunteers who do all sorts of things here. There's general upkeep that happens. There's volunteers who have more specific roles. There's a group of folks who are not just trustees volunteers, but National Park Service volunteers who come in here on Saturdays through the winter, and they work on removing invasive species. There's always something to do here. The property requires a lot of care. Tonight's really the culmination of a celebration. We've done things all year long. We've done special guided walks through the property, but then we did an incredible partnership with the Hingham Public Library, where we put on a month-long display of historic and current images of the property, really telling the story of World's End, and we accompanied that with a three-part lecture series, where we got into the history of the property, we got into personal recollections of the property given by gentlemen like Ryland Rogers, who have had over 50 years of experience here.
I was introduced to World's End in 1953 when I met this girl on a blind date and then learned she lived in Hingham. I came to see her and we did some of our courting out here. And after we were married, then we'd come down here for vacations, and then I'd have a chance to come out on my own. And then that's when I got to know it. Became my passion to explore, admire, and enjoy the property. Early on, when I was as a ranger, I was able to not be at the gate, but be out here on the weekends, interacting with the people. That was very special to me also.
I was a selectman in Hull for many years, but one of the very first times as an elected official where I really understood the issues around climate change and the environment and making sure that we're preserving our environment actually was a demonstration organized by a Hull resident, Ms. Van Ham, here between the drumlins, which I thought was a perfect space to show off the need to preserve our environment in this unique space of barrier beaches and drumlins.
Approximately 10% of all households are members of the trustees of reservations. And it's because of World's End. It's because of the experience that people have when they come here. I think if anyone comes out here, walks the property, realizes the beauty of the plantings, the fact that it's to some extent cultivated, but open space looking out toward the ocean, looking behind us right now toward the city of Boston over the Hingham Harbor Islands. It is a uniquely beautiful place.
It's really not just a local gem, but it's a flagship property for the trustees, and it's a property that people come from all over the Commonwealth to experience.
If you don't have a place as lovely as this, you can't have a celebration as good as this.
I hope people take away from tonight a couple of things. That there are many beautiful places in the world, that they call out to you, to something in your heart when you're here, something in your soul when you experience peaceful, beautiful nature and creation, and that good work in engaged community, leadership, can preserve and enhance what would otherwise be lost forever.
Oh, I think the place speaks for itself. Come and enjoy.